Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Puma All Pro Nitro 2. So the original All Pro Nitro was an amazing performer when it came out. It was a top tier performer in my personal opinion, and then the 2 came out and I was very excited about it. So here are my thoughts, right? So if you guys do want to cop, try to leave in a free link in description box. The shoe does retail for 130 bucks. There are some colorways, like special colorways for 140 bucks, but I think retail is 130. And if you do choose to get the shoe, it does help me out if you buy through the free link in the description box. And as always, thank you guys so much for all the support. But yeah, let's get it started right off with the Tracciones, right? So in this colorway, we have a fully translucent outsole. And yeah, I don't know, I just feel like, I think companies just really like making translucent rubbers. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we do have this pretty interesting pattern right here in the forefoot, and we have a circle that circles out on itself here in the heel, and through this translucent rubber you can see the actual plate as well, which they're calling the Pro plate, right? So how is the traction? The traction is actually really nice. So when you're playing on a clean court, or when I was playing on a clean court, I had an amazing bite. It has a really freaking hard stop, which I did like. Has phenomenal traction, right? It also has a nice loud high-pitched squeak, which I did like as well. Squeak has nothing to do with performance, but if you like a nice squeak, this shoe has got you covered. Moving on to the dust performance. How is the dust performance on this shoe? It feels pretty nice, right? So when you're playing on a slightly dusty court, it picks up very minimal dust, but also bites through dust extremely well when there's like minimal dust present, right? So that felt extremely nice. So if you're playing on a slightly dusty court, this shoe has really good traction, right? If you're playing on a moderately dusty court, it does start to pick up a little bit of dust, but every couple of plays you do a very easy slight wipe and you're good to go, and you have amazing stops again, right? So even on a moderately dusty court, you're gonna be fine if you do keep up with your wipes, but still does bite through dust pretty dang well. If you're playing on a super dusty court, again, you know, like most shoes, you're gonna have a little bit of an issue, but I would say it has better dust performance on a super dusty court than most other shoes, right? So yeah, again, you're gonna need a wipe, and then once you do wipe, it's gonna pick up that dust pretty quickly again, and then you do have a couple of good stops, and then it's gonna pick up that dust again, but you still have a pretty good stops on a really dusty court as well. Just keep in mind you're gonna need to wipe a lot, right? So yeah, overall performance is really nice for the traction. As far as the durability goes, the durability definitely does not seem like it'll be good. The grooves are really freaking thin and pretty soft and pliable as well here in the forefoot, especially here where the highway area is, where the ball of your foot is. So this shoe definitely isn't going to be the best for outdoor courts, right? So there's that. Moving on to the heel to toe transition. Overall, it does feel pretty dang smooth, but has a little bit more of a stiffer feel than most other shoes, like modern basketball shoes on the market today from like Nike, you know what I mean? So here in the heel, we have a nice curve shape, right? And then also, as far as the midsole goes, it is, I guess, like kinda exposed, but we do have the rubber coming up here in the back of the heel, caging the foam a little bit. So there's not as much compression in the back of the shoe, which kind of sucks. I like to have a little bit more compression here rather than on the sides, but it's still smooth. It's not clunky really at all. It's just not as soft as some other shoes, you know what I mean? And then coming into the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape, right? So overall, the shape is nice, and also we do have a pretty springy feel, right? Can't really flex it super easily. I can't even do it with one finger, right? Some other shoes I can do it literally with one finger, but this one I definitely need to put a lot more force into it. And once I do flex, because it is able to flex, it has a nice springy feel. So when you're doing heel dominant strides, you have a nice kind of pop, nice kind of springiness, which does feel nice. Also out of the triple thread, that feels nice as well. That probably has to do with the Pro plate though. With this, it's just plastic, but I guess that does help. And also torsion support is actually really nice. It's a very stiff feeling shoe, which is very different again from like the Sabrina 2, the Jaw 2, the Luka 4s, the Tatum 3s, you know what I mean? So yeah, overall heel to toe transition, when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court, does feel pretty dang smooth and also kind of springy and kind of poppy. So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So we do have Nitro SQD foam. So it says right over here. And it's pretty much nitro foam, but it's dual density, right? So it's just like the Sabrina 2 and the Sabrina 3, where it has a kind of like stiffer nitro foam going around the perimeter of the midsole. So you have better stability because it's a little bit stiffer, and then in the core of the actual midsole, you have a softer, more plush nitro foam, which is going to be better for underfoot like kind of feel, you know what I mean? But it's still really soft here in the heel. Look at this, right? You have a nice bit of compression. It's like kind of bouncy, you know. I was actually kind of surprised because nitro foam is usually just kind of soft, but then when I was doing heel dominant strides, it actually kind of had a little bit of a bounce, just a slight bounce, you know. As far as the overall core feel goes, it's not the best. I would say it's around normal. It's a little bit higher up off the ground than, you know, shoes that have amazing core feel like the Sabrina 2, Jaw 2, you know, but it's still not terrible, you know what I mean? I would say it has really good impact protection and cushion and plushiness for the core feel that you get. Again, it's just normal core feel, and the impact protection is really freaking nice, right? You have great impact protection just even on hard heel strikes. Also here in the forefoot, you do have good impact protection as well, and also underfoot cushion is kind of soft, you know what I mean? Like the insole is pretty thick, it's very plush, so that adds to the step and comfort. However, once you get going, the nitro foam actually does feel pretty soft. And I can feel my heel, especially in the heel, digging into the foam a little bit, you know what I mean? And it has a little bit more of like a stiffer feel, as in like the stroke board is a little bit on the stiffer side of things. So like to actually feel the soft nitro foam, there is a little bit of a break point where you need to put a little bit of force into it. But once you break that kind of like barrier, then it does have a soft, like nice soft feel, but it's not like mushy or super soft or anything. Like it's just a nice subtle feel. And same thing in the forefoot, but it's a little bit more subtle than that, right? And yeah, it's just, you know, a lot of basketball shoes feel like this, you know what I mean? I would just say the Puma has a little bit more than normal because it's a little bit thicker, because it has a little bit less court feel, right? So yeah, overall, it's a nice cushioning setup. I do like it. So there's that. Moving on to the upper, is kind of basically like a lino weave, you know what I mean? We do have a strand of like a polyester material going like kind of parallel to the shoe, and then going perpendicular to that, we have like TPU strands, right? It's a really thick TPU string. So they kind of wove that together and made this material. We have a little bit of a plastic overlay for the Puma logo as well. But yeah, it's just a really thin material. Look at that, super duper thin. And also there's really no underlaying material, as in like, it's not glued down. You know what I mean? Usually a lot of shoes, a lot of companies, they have like a thinner underlaying material that they glue down around the perimeter of the toe box where it's a little bit stiffer. But look at this, it's just still really soft at the tip of the toe, you know what I mean? But overall, surprisingly, it still feels like pretty supportive, you know what I mean? It's not crazy supportive, but I had no issues with support, but it's just still a really soft and thin material, you know? Same thing here in the midfoot area. It's pretty much the exact same. We also have an asymmetrical lacing system too. And then for the tongue, we have very minimal padding, like pretty much zero padding, you know? It's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the back of the shoe, I mean, on the sides, I would say it's okay for the padding. And then here in the back of the shoe, where your Achilles is, it does, you know, get a little bit more well padded. But not super cozy, but I would say it's a little bit cozier than average, you know? So yeah, the overall kind of like feel and the quality of the upper feels nice. And here in the toe box, like most basketball shoes today, it feels really thin yet supportive. And then here in the back of the shoe, it feels very thin and supportive for the tongue, but adds a little bit of coziness here for the ankle padding. So yeah, overall I do like the material. And also here in the back of the shoe, we got kind of like this fin, you know? It also says All Pro here. So there is the upper there. Moving on to the fit. So yeah, I went up half a size. And this shoe fit me really snug when I first got it, but then once I played in it, I thought I would like it because I like a really snug fit in my hoop shoes, but this shoe is just so freaking tight, even though I went up half a size. Now, it's just so snug here in the toe box, right? So width-wise, it's freaking narrow right over here, right? Length-wise also is pretty snug. It's a good length though, you know what I mean? For me, it's a good length. I didn't mind the length, but here for the width, it's just so narrow and also so snug, like right over here at the edge of the toe, that it actually was pretty uncomfortable for me when I was playing with this shoe on, right? And even when I broke it in and kept playing in it, it was still a little uncomfortable, you know? So yeah, the fit for me going up half a size, not the best. I probably should have gone up a full size, right? So there's the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. Also, I had zero issues, right? I guess besides the heel lockdown, which we'll get into, but for lateral containment, I was fine. You know, the overall upper actually was supportive enough for some reason, even though it's not the most structurally supportive material, it felt fine for me, right? My foot wasn't really coming out of the footbed. It would, stretch the material a little bit, and it wasn't the most supportive feeling, but it was fine for me, right? Also here in the forefoot, you you have a little bit of the rubber coming up, right? And also here in the heel, you have a pretty stiff internal TPU heel counter, as well as like the foam coming up. So yeah, lateral containment, I was good. Also lateral stability, I was fine. Although there's not a crazy outrigger, I didn't have any instability issues, even though here in the heel you are a little bit higher up off the ground, right? However, the heel slippage, okay, so first of all, the actual like heel padding, the ankle padding doesn't cup in as much, you know what I mean? Like if you look at the Sabrina 3, it cups in like on top of the ankle, like right over here. But with this shoe, it kind of comes down a little bit more, and it doesn't lock down my heel as well as like the Sabrina 3 and like some other shoes, you know? So yeah, again, it wasn't terrible though. Like my heel wasn't coming out of the shoe that much, but it just didn't feel locked down. Like it was moving around inside of the shoe a little bit as far as my heel goes. So that kind of sucked, but it wasn't a huge deal. You know, once I got used to it, I kind of got used to it. But once I switched into a shoe that had really good heel lockdown, I'm like, ooh, that feels a little bit better, you know? So it's just a little minor thing there. And now moving on to the weight of the shoe. I mean, Puma never really makes lightweight shoes. So yeah, these shoes, however, average weight, 12.5 ounces. Let's check the other shoe, 12.4 ounces, right? So the average weight in my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So pretty much average weight, but for the past like year or two, shoes have been like becoming really lightweight. So it's around like 11.5 ounces, like 11.5 to 12 ounces as far as like the average goes for recent shoes, right? But I guess like historical average for me, like going back, you know, however many years, 12.5 ounces, and it's around average weight, right? But yeah, this shoe definitely does feel bottom heavy, however, you know, like Nitro foam is freaking heavy. It's like high density. So yeah, especially here in the heel, it feels a little bit chunky, it feels a little bit bulky and bottom heavy. The upper, however, is extremely minimal and lightweight, you know what I mean? And when I was playing in the shoe, however, I felt really quick. I loved playing in the shoe because I felt extremely responsive, because the traction is just so good. And the extra comfort that I got from the cushion felt nice, you know what I mean? However, I do like a little bit more of a lower to the ground feel in my personal opinion, right? So there is the weight there. Moving on to the ventilation. Ventilation is pretty good, right? So through this upper, you do have pretty good airflow. The upper is really thin as well, so you do have pretty good ventilation. And moving on to the aesthetics, I like it. It actually does look pretty dang nice. I do like this colorway overall as well, but I do like the kind of like the all black colorway, like the Venice Beach colorway a little bit better. But yeah, the overall design looks pretty nice. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yeah, this shoe's really nice, you know what I mean? For the price, I would say it's pretty nice as well. Is it my favorite performer? No, because there were a couple of issues. First of all, because of the fit. You know, I feel like if I didn't have that fit issue, I would like the shoe a little bit more. But again, you know, once I broke it in, it was just a little uncomfortable, you know? When I got it at first, however, it was really uncomfortable, almost borderline painful. There is just two minor things, you know, I just wish I had a little bit better core feel, just in my personal opinion. But if you don't care about that and you want a little bit more of a comfier, more cushioned setup compared to more like most guard shoes, then you know this is a nice setup. But also the heel slippage was a little bit annoying as well, you know what I mean? But other than that, again, minor things. This is a very nice performer. And yeah, I feel like, you know, if you're a guard, you're gonna like this unless, you know, you want a crazy amount of core feel. But also if you're a bigger dude, I feel like this is a pretty nice option because, you know, overall support is adequate and you do have a good amount of cushion. So yeah, I did enjoy playing in the shoe. I would give it maybe a solid 8 out of 10 for me personally. 7.5, 8 out of 10, you know what I mean? It's a solid performer. Just a kind of couple of minor things for me that wasn't the best compared to my favorite shoes for the past year, you know? So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the All Pro Nitro 2. Again, if you guys do want to call, I'll try to leave in the feed link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.